What it do? If you guys haven't been under a rock, in the year 2025, there has been a common issue, and even in the previous years prior, probably up to about like 4 or 5 years ago. Ultimately, women seem to, at least every woman, despite how dysfunctional and disformed that their face may be, seems to believe that they're all tens. Where this modern delusion is coming from, who knows? Maybe it's just cope. On this episode, we're going to find out why ugly women believe that they're attractive or tens. So let's get right into it. Here we go.
I'd rather a 10.
Yeah.
And you don't understand. Well, I'm a 10. I go to school, I go to work, and I have a great personality, and I'm...
So another thing too, a lot of these women, like, they all believe this shit. They all believe that they're tens. How can you guys all be tens? That doesn't even statistically make sense. But logic, ultimately isn't in most women's vocabulary. Just delusion and cope.
Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. Nowadays, it seems that all women, regardless of their own attractiveness, is walking around thinking they're a perfect 10 out of 10. All forms of modesty and simple common sense have gone straight out the window. And it seems all women are walking around with a chip on their shoulder thinking they're God's gift to mankind.
Exactly.
Well guys, in this video I'm going to be outlining the 8 reasons, yeah you heard that right, 8 reasons, for why the rate of attractiveness inflation is going through the roof, or in simple words, why every woman now thinks in 2021 she's a perfect 10. Number 1, and this should be by far the biggest reason, simping. Now, the thing with simping is that a lot of people mistake for it only going in one direction. They think it only goes from the bottom up. It's the low value men at the bottom who are bombarding the women at the top with endless amounts of free attention, validation, and God forbid, money by paying for things like OnlyFans. But
Right.
in reality, all women across the board of attractiveness have an endless selection of simps to provide these things. Because what ends up happening is the simps start by throwing attention, money and validation at the most attractive women, but when they don't get anything in return, they have no choice but to move down to the next level, and then the next level, and the next and the next. So it's just this endless cycle of simps undercutting other simps. And whoever undercuts and simps the most...
Holy shit. Wow. Oh my gosh. It's just the lowest bidder, man. It's just the race to the bottom and the lowest bidder. That's insane. Wow. Who's willing to sacrifice their own moral ethics and self-esteem and the most, I guess. That's the competition. Just for some average, it looks like this simple shit won't even work on these type of girls. Like, 10 through 8, let's like, because 8's really like the hard skill, right? So, like, the women like 5 through 8 doesn't even seem like the simple would really even work for. I feel it seems like it only would work for like the 4s and belows, especially if you're a low tier man. So, damn. Every video I watch just proves more and more how cooked this whole dating shit is.
supposedly wins in the end. Yeah, that last bit's important, supposedly. Because what happens next is all the low value women at the bottom, who now have a fresh crate of simps to choose from, have this backwards rationalisation. Well, this is interesting. I'm getting all of this validation. Therefore, this must mean I am special. Therefore, I must also...
Oh, man. Oh, man. If a woman was walking around looking like this and she really had these beliefs, I mean, bro, like, she should really get her brain checked out. Like, there's something really wrong there. She may be on the spectrum. If you truly believe that, and you never thought, what, to yourself, maybe those guys, I'm not their first choice, and they probably tried. And ultimately, they're just super desperate guys, and, let's be real, like, growing up, it's not like guys really, like, attractive guys were going for me like that. So, I mean, maybe they're just using me for sex, and they don't really think I'm that attractive. Maybe this is just all they believe they can get or what they can get. But of course, they're not gonna think like that, bro. They're gonna think like, I'm so special. I'm a 10. I'm the table. All this bullshakalaka. I can't stand it.
Be highly attractive. So the final piece of the puzzle, and also why simping never works, is all of the women at the bottom who have been senselessly simped over have now had their egos inflated beyond return. And all that's been left is the guys at the bottom have now lost a ridiculous amount of their own time, energy and resources, and all for nothing. Now, the last point I'm going to make on this before I move on to the next reason is this is exactly why I have zero sympathy for simps. Because the only impact that simps have on the dating market is inflating women's egos, which in turn messes up the system and spoils it for anyone else who actually had a chance. Anyway.
You know, they say it's not like most of the like your biggest enemy as a guy, considering you're not weak, is ultimately only a weak man. That's your biggest enemy. It's not women. It's not none of this stuff. And ultimately, the ones who are really responsible for all the bullshit that goes on is weak motherfucking men, bro. Them niggas is the ones that really fuck it up for everybody else. Granted, yes, women would probably be still delusional even without that. And come up with some other cope. But ultimately, this doesn't ultimately help the situation. So, oh man. I'm not even actively dating anymore anyways. I gave up on that shit. Just FYI if anyone was interested. Or
now moving on to point number 2 for why women overestimate their worth. Women equating their hookup options to their actual value.
Wow.
Now, because of the nature of the current dating market, just about every average woman, and in fact even some below average women, have access to regular intimacy and hookups from the guys at the top. Chad is shared between everyone. Now, what this means is the women in the middle end up thinking this: well, I can hook up easily with Chad. However, Chad doesn't want to commit. Therefore, all I need to do is just find one that will commit. So back.
And you know what? That logic is not bad. It's not terrible. That logic really isn't terrible. But the reality is, if you're going after the same type of guy with the same amount of options, and all these women ultimately believe that they're special, which means in turn they don't try to do anything for the man to prove that. They just expect and just see what the man can do for them. Then of course they're all gonna end up actually not being committed to because they're not worthy of being committed to. And why would the guy even commit to you in the first place? Since you believe you're the table and you're not even that attractive. Look, it was just a pump. So you're dumped and get out of here.
To the dating market, all the average women end up wasting time chasing and trying to pin down the Chads, and they string along and friend zone all of the guys they're actually on the same level with, the ones who would have given an equal relationship. But instead, the women's attention is all focused on the top 10 to 15% of guys who they are able to hook up with, but not willing to give their commitment.
I mean, bro, like, I can't really see the difference between these 6s and 8s. Like, that's why I don't really believe in that fucking scale. Like, what's the difference between these two guys, bro? What's the fucking difference? What's the difference, bro? Oh, was it the cranial folds or was it the angularity of their eyeballs? Like what the fuck's the difference? That's the only one thing I don't like about. I do believe in the black pills and looks definitely ultimately are the primary factor in dating and determine much more than you ultimately think. But I think it goes a little too far with the scientific fucking, like your lower thirds and all this stupid shit, bro.
Women, just because you can hook up with someone doesn't mean you're on their level, and certainly doesn't mean you can get commitment from them either. Moving on to point number 3, acceptance of unattractiveness. And this does not apply to men. It's almost exclusively for women. And this is mostly the result of feminism. Now, this idea in the last 10 years has pretty much stepped in and said all women, irrespective of their own attractiveness, are all deserving of a perfect 10. This belief system has tried to force down society's throat that all women, of all shapes and sizes, are all attractive in their own unique way. It is seen as grossly inappropriate to
And it is seen as grossly inappropriate to even come up with such an idea that is so contradictory to the reality of things. And how delusional would you have to be one of the dumbasses that actually believe this bullshit? I mean, what are we doing, man?
highlight the flaws in a woman's beauty, even if said flaws pose a huge risk to their physical health and can greatly reduce their life expectancy. Therefore, they are instead celebrated. And I've talked about this in my previous videos. I'll say again, try typing the words plus size into Google. There will not be one man in sight. In fact, I could bet money that you'd be scrolling for longer than the length of this video in order
I mean, there's some that, there's some plus size girls that ain't looking bad, bro. Like her. Nope. Too much. Nope. Borderline, but in that range, because I kind of like thick girls. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even gonna lie to you, but absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So it depends on how much plus. Absolutely not. Yeah, just no. So yeah, I mean, plus size isn't
just
necessarily
find
all
one
bad.
single man. Moving on to point number 4, the media promoting delusion.
Yep.
Now, before I covered this point, because I'm about halfway through the video, now is a good time to press the like button and leave any thoughts you have in the comments below, as it helps the YouTube algorithm. Anyway, carrying on with the video, media promoting delusion. Now, about 5 years ago, there was this film that came out called 50 Shades of Grey, and in fact, the book that it was based on was one of the highest grossing of the decade. And if you've not heard of this film or the book before, it's basically about this billionaire Chad who goes for and ends up in a relationship with some fairly average woman. A similar storyline.
I mean,
happens
like,
in
bro,
other...
like, what's really the difference in their attractiveness, bro? Like, that's one thing I like about black people. Like, what can you pinpoint that's like, oh, this guy's so much better than her? Well, yeah, maybe these two factors, but in regards of just looks, I don't really see that big of a difference. And what is a Chad? I think that term's thrown around too much. Well then, god damn it, if this motherfucker's a Chad, then I'm a fucking Chad then. And I don't even think I'm a Chad, bro. If all these motherfuckers that I'm seeing as Chads, bro, I'm just as attractive as them. And that's not even delusion. But the thing is, here's the thing is, it just gets thrown out too much. Most guys aren't Chads. They're acting like they're throwing Chads out like credit cards and mortgages. Look, I know I'm not a Chad. I know I fall within the range, looks wise, between the 5 to 7 range, and probably if I were to really pin it down, probably like a 6, if we're gonna be real. So, end of the day, I'm just tired of like dudes just kind of looks like an average dude. He has a pretty good jawline, cheekbones, all that stuff, but like this Chad word is thrown around so much. It's thrown around so much that damn near I may just be it. I'm just a Chad then. But you know how I know I'm not a Chad? Because I don't get special treatment for women. So there you go.
Movies and TV shows such as the highly acclaimed Sex and the City. This series too showed women, despite being in their 30s and 40s, still being able to pin down and get commitment from Chads. So the point I'm trying to make here is that the media is portraying...
I'm saying, like, this Chad shit's just don't... What? Does it just have to... So, I see what it is. A Chad's just a white guy with some good status. That's what it sounds like a Chad is. That's what a Chad is. A white guy with some good status. Or is Chad Ocho Cinco? Is Chad Ocho Cinco with Chad Wheat Waffles?
The idea that any woman...
And P.S. One other thing I don't like about the black pill, though, is that it is kind of like, kind of makes it seem like European people are the most attractive. And that is not the fucking case. It's not dependent on race at all. It's either you're attractive or you're not, depending on your race. In my opinion, I believe that if you're like super, super attractive, you are your own race, which is another belief of the black pill, which I do agree with. So,
perspective of what she brings to the table can get a relationship from a Chad, no matter how old or average. Now moving on to point number 5, ego.
Yep.
Now, I didn't know just how big of a reason this was until I came across this scientific study titled Resisting Connection Following Social Exclusion. Now, this study attempted to see how a woman would react when first being approached by an attractive man and then afterwards being approached by a less attractive man.
I mean, what's wrong with this nigga though, bro? What's the fucking difference? Like, nigga, what's really the difference? He looks a little more feminine and shit, but that's about it. So like I said, that's why I don't believe in the looks rating scale, bro, because I think it's kind of bullshit. Just give me the buck.
The results were as followed. When the attractive man accepted the woman was also very likely to accept the less attractive man. In fact, he was accepted an average of 80%. Now, this isn't surprising, because after she gets accepted by the attractive man, she's probably feeling quite good about herself, and she's got nothing to lose by accepting the less attractive man, so she also gives him a pass.
I get
However,
it. And then the
for the
reverse
second
happens,
part of the study, when the woman gets first rejected by the attractive man, they found she was then much less likely to accept the less attractive man's advances. In fact, his acceptance rate dropped from 80% to a staggering 24%. That's nearly a 4 times drop. And the reason for this is because after the first rejection, she probably felt violated and had taken a huge blow to her self-esteem. So to recover and attempt to regain some of her self-worth, she lashes out on the less attractive guy by rejecting him. Now, I found this study very interesting because it shares such close parallels to the current dynamics of the dating market. Because think about online dating, and for those who don't know how the Tinder algorithm works, the most popular profiles are shown first. So these are shown at the top of the card stack, and are the first profiles a woman will see after logging on. Meanwhile, the less attractive profiles are shown last. Therefore, if an average or below average woman gets mostly negative responses from the popular profiles, the attractive ones, then the study shows the woman getting butthurt from this will result in her lashing out on the lower ranked profiles. And she will do this in order to rebuild some of her self-respect. Point number 6, a woman and her blue-pilled friends inflating her ego. Now, the 2 screenshots showed on either side of the screen are typical of the comments a woman will expect to see on her Instagram profile. So of course we have a couple simps giving her free validation, and I have checked their profiles and they are actually guys. But what's arguably more concerning is her and all of her female friends blowing smoke up one another.
Like I said, women don't really fuck with each other, bro. If anything, they're, I believe, one of the biggest reasons why they're so damn delusional, because they just all lie to each other, bro. They never keep it at 1,000 with each other. They just all lie to each other, bro. Let me boost her up so when next time I post, she boosts me up. We can keep this cycle going. Like, bro, like this shit, man, it's played out, bro. End of the day, like, a lot of these women try to act like they all that, bro. But deep down, I'm just gonna be real, bro. Like, most women aren't really better, aren't too good. The only thing they're really good for is just, I'm just keeping it a buck with you.
Experience, I see these types of comments vastly outnumbering the ones sent from simps. Here's where you'll see the comments like, "My queen, you're gorgeous, stunner, you go girl." And the dumbest part about all of this isn't the comments themselves. Rather, it's the people that are sending and receiving them. Women will believe anything their friends tell them these days. So if 20 of a girl's female friends are sending these copy and paste comments on every post she uploads, even if the girl herself is average to below average in looks, she's still going to walk away patting herself on the back, thinking she's a lot more attractive than she actually is. Thinking she's a perfect 10. Point number 7, entitlement. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I was watching a Darius M video, who's actually one of my favourite channels. And I remember him saying there are a lot more overweight women than men. And after that video, I looked it up and it's true. This is data from the NHS website in the UK, my country. And for 16 to 24 year olds, there are 2 times more obese women than men. 20% versus 10%. And it's a similar pattern for the 25 to 34 year old age range. And I remember Darius saying the main reason for this is because women don't get in shape because they have no need to. The truth is, men know that if they're obese, no woman is going to want to be with them. But most women know, especially those who are overweight, that men will still be attracted to them even if they are packing extra pounds. And they will be able to tell you that from experience. Now, if this reason is true, then it shows they have a sense of entitlement. It shows they're entitled to somebody more attractive than they are, despite bringing far less to the...
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, if hypergamy really holds true, then at the end of the day, every single time the guy gets the short end of the stick and gets the worst deal, because at the end of the day, the guy's technically always dating or being with someone that's less attractive than him or less attractive than them, or all around just not as high quality as them, I guess, is a state, whether it's a financial sense, emotional sense, whatever. Pretty much women want a guy that's better than them in every single regard possible. So men get the short end of the stick, and then at the end of the day, and if that said man that's been chosen by this woman with her hypergamous nature, her dating upwards, ultimately commits and bows down on one knee and marries this chick, that's the same chick who would ultimately was below him. If hypergamy stands true, technically the chick was below him, and that's the same chick that'll wreck you in divorce court. Same chick that'll gaslight you and act like and make it seem like you're not good enough, when reality is she wouldn't have chose you unless she knew deep down inside that you are better than her. Oh, man. It would be trash to be a woman. I couldn't deal with my own fucking brain. It seems like just most of them are fucked up because their own emotions in their own head.
Table and putting in little to no effort. And in fact, I've even seen this in my own personal experiences. I've literally heard overweight women say that they will never date an overweight man. That is entitlement at its simplest form. Finally, moving on to point number 8, coping.
Oh, 1000%.
What I've noticed is nearly every woman, if you ask them the top 3 things that make them attractive, it will almost undoubtedly be a completely different list from another woman's. Just like the woman from the clip at the beginning. Her 3 reasons for why she is a perfect 10 was because she goes to school, goes to work, and has a good personality.
Congratulations. You've played yourself, because you're just average. You go to school, you go to work, you have a personality. So does literally fucking everyone. So, yeah. Congratulations. You're so special.
But based on how pretentious she was being, I very much doubt there's much truth to this last one. This woman, if she believes that these 3 things alone make her a perfect 10, is almost certainly coping. Because here are the actual 3 things that men care about most. The holy trinity of what actually makes a perfect 10. First of all, hot. This means not overweight. 2, young, or in other words, under 30. And 3, undamaged. This means not promiscuous, and also no kids.
I agree.
This is what men actually want. And the funny thing is, what I've noticed is when women are young, when they list reasons of what makes them attractive, they're likely to say things such as, I'm pretty, fit, young, therefore this makes me an 8. Meanwhile, when you ask older women, or even worse, the exact same women but just 10 to 15 years older, they're likely to give you a different list of the things that make them attractive. Such as, I have a career, I have 2 gorgeous kids, and am financially stable. They're...
Ha 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 ha. Where's 21 Savage reunion? Ha 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 ha. You played yourself.
For I'm also an 8. This is also coping. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, these days, nearly every woman has their own list of cope reasons for why they're more attractive than everyone else. And they will change it where they see fit and based on their own strengths.
Well, it's life, man. You gotta cope. Life ain't easy, so everybody copes one way or another. So if that's your coping mechanism, by all means, cope hard. And at the end of the day, it's not even like women have to really come to it's not really like most women even have to deal with the consequences of coping. Men do, like, of being delusional and stuff. Men would have to actually do that, because you'll kind of get smacked in the face and everyone around you be like, bro, you're fucking delusional. But with women, no. They can live in delusional land just fine. Like, they don't pay the price for being delusional. Men pay the price for being delusional, though. So, at the end of the day, it's something else that they can get away with, ultimately. Darius M, amazing insight, brother. Keep it up. Yep. Darius M was definitely, especially back in 2021, yeah, I watched him a lot back then, bro. A lot back then. I've never in my life heard a man say that a woman is more attractive because she has gorgeous kids. Yeah, for real, for real. Imagine a guy saying he's a 10 because he goes to school working as a good personality. Like, bro, that is unimaginable delusion. I agree. Online dating is like shopping for a new car in a junkyard. I swear to God. That's why I quit dating. I am done with dating. I'm done. I'm good on it. I am a 10. I go to work. I go to school. I have a great personality. Blah, 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 blah. If someone says I have a great personality, it's the moment that we all know that this person doesn't. No, straight up. That's like someone say, I'm a nice guy. No, the fuck you're not. Fuck, man. As a society, can we agree to put an end to this queen and king stuff? Unless you're an actual king or queen, you are not a king or queen. People's egos are at an all-time high these days. 1000%, bro. I remember that king shit was thrown around, especially back around like COVID times and stuff, like 2021. Motherfuckers stayed thinking they were kings and shit. I'm like, this is fucking stupid, bro. Often, a woman who's a legit 10 out of 10 would be somewhat embarrassed about it and won't refer to herself as a 10. Definitely not. No, yeah, no, 100%. They'll be kind of like shy about it because they know other women fucking don't like her any fucking ways because she's actually what you are, what you wish to be. Man, the delusion's gonna make my head hurt. So I'm gonna sign off later, guys.